Hello, all you hardcores out there. How are you doing? It's Big P here, the biggest gob in sport. Also, the voice of hardcore boxing as well. How are you doing? You like these little podcasts that I do, don't you? You know, I don't show my face. Just like other 97% on YouTube in boxing. You can't be asked, can I? When you've had a heavy one. Right. That poo feast last night. You know what I'm on about, don't you? I'm just going to give my opinion on it. This is how I look at it, right? We all heard what Spencer Jug Ears Oliver said, don't we, in his interviews this week? Yeah, I was the pioneer and blah blah blah. He were involved in a couple of shows. One, he was at KSR, Jack Weller or whatever, and some other show like Logan Paul or Jake Paul or one of them. I don't know. All them goonies, utter goonies that are killing the sport of boxing for hardcores. That's right, utter goonies. Right, you're my dog here barking. Crazy dog. Point I want to make is this. Him and that Jake Wood, that EastEnders, you know, the ginger balls from EastEnders, they dipped their toes in YouTube boxing a few years ago now, right? Isn't that right, Spencer Juggies Oliver? You dipped your bread and you made hundreds of thousands between you and your mate. You had a good do. I ain't got a problem with that. But don't start going on about proper boxing and then throwing this into mix when you're playing both sides of the fence, like the board of control. Now, I'm going to back up to that now. Now, as you probably saw yesterday, I don't like to name names, but I'm going to do. You saw Mark Tibbs, who was a pal of mine. You saw Ebony Bridges. They were working Ellie Brooks' corner. In other corner, we've got a boxing board of control registered cutman. Yeah, this was going on through the night. We've got Callus Howland, who's a promoter. He's in charge of events. Now, this to me, unlicensed, YouTube boxing, whatever it is, it's a load of rubbish because I've seen letters up at Dennis's from 4 or 5 years ago what the board was saying about license holders. Everybody gets them who's a license holder. Everybody got this letter going on about what you can do and can't do with white collar YouTubers and this and that when it were creeping into the sport. But now at what we've got, forward a few years later, they're on big TV platforms and promoters don't care about what anybody thinks, and neither do the board of control. So have the board of control folded for commission on these shows? Is that what they've done? Is that what the board of control have done, or have I missed? In my 26 month away from Dennis's bat cave up there at Attercliffe, have I missed a email on the circular from the board of control on their website or to all the license holders explaining about YouTube boxing, exhibition boxing, and unlicensed boxing? Because my good friend Ryan Rowlandson, who used to be a Dave Penfold Caldwell fighter, and who now puts shows on unlicensed and that, but my good friend Ryan Rowlandson lost his seconds license from Robert Smith. Isn't that right? Smith, or should I say, AKA Smithy. Good old Smithy. He took Ryan Rowlandson's license off him for doing a corner on an unlicensed show. But yet, I see license holders at these shows strutting about. So either the rules have been changed or it's one rule for one down south and one rule for rest up north. Now, I don't think that's fair. I could be wrong, by the way, here. But these people like Spencer Juggies Oliver, right, and his mate Jake Wood, who had a podcast and they've used their positions in boxing to get things going behind the scenes with media and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Have they used their positions to get this YouTube unlicensed nonsense onto mainstream TV and into mainstream boxing? Have they used their influence? And are they now regretting it? Because I want to know this. Spencer Oliver, yeah, you jug ears. You've got to be one of the biggest two-faced men in the sport of boxing, you. That's right, jug ears, you. Yeah, you. You've got to be one of the biggest two-faced men. Former fighter, Sky pundit, talk sport media guy. But yet you were one of those responsible for bringing this bull feast. Because that's what it is. AKA bull feast to boxing. All this misfits stuff and all this stuff filtering into boxing. And do you remember what you were piping on about, Jug Ears, a few years ago? You remember, don't you, Jug Ears? You were saying, yeah, it's going to filter into mainstream and all these small little shows that you're called, they're going to be a thing at past. It's going to be minimum 5,000 every show. Just look at the audience. Listen, let me tell you this. This audience that watched this rubbish couldn't tell me who the middleweight champion of the world is from one of the 7 former glamour divisions, the original divisions, the 7 divisions. They couldn't tell me who middleweight champion is. They couldn't tell me who best welterweight is. I couldn't. Spencer Crawford. So I'm blaming you, jug ears. You are one of the movers and shakers. That's right, you. And another person who were a mover and shaker as well. And let me tell you this, you all filled your pockets. Adam Smith, a.k.a. Bean. Yeah, that's right, Bean. You may have fallen on times now because you've been backing three-legged donkeys and backing Liverpool to win every trophy there is. Let me just say this to you, Bean. You were one of the movers and shakers when you had a position at power with Sky, when you had juggies hanging out the back of you. You were in a position of power there. And what did you do? You let it filter into the sport. And now everybody's taking a laugh. They're all laughing at us. They stood at top of the balcony in the penthouses, hosing us down from the top and then zipping up the thighs on the trousers. You're one of them responsible, you Bean, and you, Nelson. All you Sky Sports lot, you're responsible. That's right. Never mind. Oh, well, we only played a little part in it. No, you brought it into the sport. It's like you're bringing cannabis into a mining village in the 70s. Nobody knew what it was. Now what we've got now, it's a free-for-all, isn't it? 12-year-olds running around with guns and crack. You know what I mean? But in the 70s, they were like, oh, look this into the village. And then people thought they were good, didn't they? 5 years later, because everybody was chilled out. But now, look, people get bored with that, don't they? And they're now bored with this YouTube nonsense. What we're going to have next? Doctors fighting doctors. Accountants fighting lawyers. Prison schools fighting army. What next? Where's it end? Are we going to have bloke from next door who's got a bit of a beef with his mother-in-law? Are you going to get at it? When does it end? When does it end? But like I said, I don't think it's right that certain people have lost their licenses for being involved with this YouTube exhibition unlicensed nonsense. Whatever it is, it's a poo feast. I don't think it's right that people who were former professional fighters who ended up trainers losing their licenses for being involved doing a bit of corner work on some of these shows. And then we've got a free-for-all on TV. What is all that about? And why are these YouTubers like Coogan, that Rob Tebber, and all the rest of these people, Bunce, Gareth A. Davis, why aren't these people putting it on? These license holders that are filling the pockets, bringing this into sport, why aren't they putting it on them? Because they all want to get a bit for themselves, that's why. It's a poo feast and nobody's saying a word. So that's about it, really. That's about it. I think I'm going to wrap this up now for a month. Porky's Corner. You've had your boxing videos. You know, you've had some diet videos as an extra. And there's my Spain documentary going out. That's all extra on top of boxing. All members videos are out. If you want to see any boxing for the rest of the month now, you get on members area. Or you go watch that rubbish, don't you? Go watch it and roll in the cesspit that it is. Go have a good roll around, innit? Because that ain't boxing, it's Misfits boxing. That's right, but they're just having a laugh at you, aren't they, calling it that? You think these people care for boxing fans? They can say we're trying to bring more boxing fans to boxing. You know, it's not coming. They're not coming to boxing. Small old shows are dying on their arse. We're having to give people like Perry Howe 2-fight contracts for area belts. Only so, I don't know why they've done that, like, but between Dennis and Steffi Bull's lot, they've got Perry Howe in with a kid for Central Area title. And if Perry wins, I've got to dive in River Don. I ain't got a problem with that because Perry can't fight for Toffee. He is a white collar fighter, but he's fighting now for a belt. I think he's the first white collar guy that's going to be fighting for a belt. Is he, Perry Howe? I might be wrong. I know he had an IBO, but I don't count them. You know, I only count the main 6: area, English, British, Commonwealth, European, and world title, right? I don't count them trinket belts, you know, IBO, international silvers and all that. I count the IBO, but I don't count the IBO international silver. So out of one of the main belts, is Perry the first one to fight for it? Well, he's got a 2-fight deal for area belt. 2 fights. Oh my God. That shows you the depth of boxing. That shows you the depth of boxing. But if they're going to let it filter in, why don't they just make it all a free-for-all? Because it's filtered in now. The horse has bolted, hasn't it? They've all filled the pockets, and they're not going to let it go. And these guys now, this KSI and Jake Paul, people like that, they're bigger than boxing now, aren't they? They're dictating the sport. And I want you to know, jug ears, yeah, that's right, you, Spencer Oliver, little coke-sniffing little whore that you used to be. I don't know if you still are. Yeah, that's right, you little party animal. You're one of them responsible. So don't be trying to get in my good books, coming out with what's right and what I say on TalkSport, because you're responsible for this. I'm holding you responsible. Jug ears, Spencer Oliver, and then going on interviews and bragging about it. You weren't bragging about it a few years ago, were you? You wanted to keep it underhand, in-house, so nobody knew. The horse is bold now, so you're telling everybody, and it's all relaxed, isn't it? Everybody thinks it's a jolly one, don't they? You should all be ashamed of yourselves, a lot of yous. You're killing this sport that I love. You're killing it. And then you've got the cheek to go sit there with Simon Jordan on TalkSport, talking hardcore boxing. You should be embarrassed, Jug ears. Go on, get out of it. Porky's Corner will return in February. Peace out.